I was sitting out on the deck today, and I decided I was going to take my scooter for a ride. But I hid my key to it. I couldn't find it. I found it now, but I couldn't find it then. But anyway, I was sitting out there. Somebody in a van went down the road, and they was going slow, and then they turned around and they come back, and they got right down there to the corner, which is kind of secluded, and they stopped, set a box out there, pretty good sized box, set it on the side of the road, and then come out with a dog. And you could see it was a mama dog because it had teats, hanging down. And they set the dog out there too. And the dog went over to the box and was sniffing in the box. And turns out somebody was abandoning their dogs, the mama dog and the puppies. I think they told me there was 6 in there, in the puppies. I don't understand how people can do that. We humans have some peculiar quirks about us. A lot of us do. Not all of us, but some of us do. We have, over the millenniums of years, we have domesticated cats. We've domesticated dogs. Cats maybe not so much, but dogs, if you set them out on their own, most likely they're not going to survive. Because we've made those dogs accustomed to us taking care of them and providing food and shelter. And then all of a sudden you set them out because you got tired of them, or you wouldn't get them fixed so they wouldn't have puppies. That's a terrible thing to do. That's like you and your wife having a couple of kids and you're all excited and all that, and then a little bit later on you get tired of them and you just set them out on the side of the road somewhere. I just don't know how. I've got my little dog, Bailey. Y'all know her. Sometimes she pees in the floor. Sometimes she throws up by going there sneaking and eating cat food. Sometimes she poops in the floor. She needs to be turned out every day, at least twice a day. Preferably in the morning when I first get up. And then later on in the evening, and that problem kind of disappears. One morning, I was getting up, and Jennifer come in and was talking, and I started to get up, and there's a pile of dog poop right on the side of my bed. But I get upset about it. But I sure as hell ain't gonna set her out on the side of the road because I'm tired of that. Dogs have accidents. Now one time I had a dog. His name was Baby, and he was a chow. And he would not go in the house to do his business at all. He would be having to go so bad he'd be walking sideways. But we don't know how he got that house broke, because we had him since he was a puppy. But it just strikes me as really bad when you domesticate something and then you treat it like it's so much trash. I don't get it. I had in-laws. My dad-in-law and one of my brother-in-laws. I don't know about the other brother-in-law, but the one, they get a dog. They really like the dog. I really like the dog. But all of a sudden, they're tired of it. So they go like they're going hunting or something. They go up in the woods somewhere and shoot the dog. And then just leave it laying. I don't get it. Maybe I've got too much of a soft spot. I don't know. I just don't think it's right. I mean, like I was watching a video a while ago. This lady, she has a farm, and she raises her own beef, own pork, own chickens, and she was showing how once a year she'd go out there and slaughter about 50 or 60 chickens. And I was watching her catching them chickens. I mean, you raise them, the chickens catch it. They don't have a clue that you're fixing to lop their head off and eat them. They want to live just like anybody else. We want to live. We don't want to die. But we know we're going to die, but of natural causes. Ain't somebody going to come along and lop our head off. I don't know why I dwell on stuff like that. I could almost, if it was up to me, I would be a vegetarian. It's not up to me. I don't buy the groceries around here. My daughter brought me in, she fixed supper last night, and it was, let's see, what was the meat? It was, it was barbecued chicken wings. I love chicken wings. But there was also a side dish of some kind of rice. And she takes these green beans, the long ones, she puts them in the frying pan and covers them with bacon grease and lets them simmer. Those beans are delicious like that, and the rice was delicious. And I knew I was going to like the veggies a lot better than I did them chicken wings. I mean, I ate the wings, but I ate the rice and the green beans first, and I went back to see if there was any more. Of course, it wasn't. I'd have rather her give me double servings on the beans and rice and forget the wings. I would rather have a pot of beans than, pintos or navy beans seasoned with pork. I'd rather have that than some meat dish 10 times over. So it would be easy for me to be a virgin, or I would like to call a semi-virgin or virgin. Yeah, vegetarian virgin. I ain't been a virgin for a long time. That's 83. That's what makes me come up with stuff. Lord have mercy. Dauber, dauber, dauber. You old man. You old coot. I would rather be a vegetarian than, what do they call it when you eat? We can eat like cats and dogs, they want meat. And they do just fine on that. But us, we want veggies, we want meat, fish. But I think if I was one going out and buying the groceries, it'd be vegetables all the time. I think I feel bad. I see a herd of cattle out there that's getting ready to go to the slaughter, and I'm thinking, and then poor old cows and steers, you feed them and you fatten them up, and then you send them to the slaughterhouse. You make, cows you get leather from, you get beef to eat. I think there's something that, I think we make bone meal out of the bone, stuff like that, but they don't have a time or chance. They're going to wind up on the dinner table. Same thing with chickens. You raise them, they trust you. Pigs. Now this one guy, he had a video, I hadn't seen him in a while. He raised pork and cows. And he actually had names for all of his cattle and all of his pork. And I made a comment, I said, why do you name them things knowing you're going to slaughter them? And I forget now what he said. But I couldn't get that close to an animal and then turn around and kill it to eat it. I suppose slaughtering meat, cows and stuff to eat, it's a natural order of things, but it doesn't sit well with me, never has. And just like people setting that dog out and them puppies, how could they do that? My brother-in-law, how could he take, and I remember one time he took one dog, His name was Cleo. And he was some kind of a hound dog, but he had some basset in him. And I remember one day he got his shotgun and he headed up the cove with it and called Cleo, and Cleo just following him on up the mountains. He gets up the mountain there and shoots him. And they didn't take and those people up there in the mountains, they didn't take their dogs or cats to the vet. They never seen a vet. They never had shots. If they got sick, they'd just let them die. They wouldn't try to get help for them or anything. But and they get tired of them and take them up there and shoot them. And the food, they never bought dog food. What they got to eat was table scraps when everybody was done eating. They pitched them out the back door on the ground, and that's what they ate. They eat a lot of things up there I wouldn't eat. I mean, I've eaten squirrel before, but they eat squirrel a lot. I've eaten rabbit before, but they eat rabbit a lot. Sometimes that was the only food they had on the table, as far as meats go, is rabbit and squirrel. And every once in a while, a raccoon or a possum, they'd eat bear meat. I don't like wild game meat. I don't like deer. I don't like what's that? Bears. That they had bear season. They had deer season. It's too gamey for me. I don't like it. But it just bothers me how inhumane, I want to call, maybe that's not the right word, inhumane, the way we are with animals that I can understand. Now, back when I had to work on my aunt and uncle's farms and stuff in the summer, I didn't think much about it. They always had a smokehouse, and they killed a couple of hogs every year, and smoked them hams and shoulders and stuff. They put them in the smokehouse, and that's where they cured them out, and they hung in there all year round. And you go in there and look at one that looks nasty, all moldy and stuff. But we had ham for breakfast, fried ham. And I love country ham, but I can't eat country ham anymore because it's so salty. I love it, but it just makes my blood pressure go sky high. But they always had sausage and pork, beef, and they didn't have freezers to put in your house back then. But there's a place in town, it was a freezer locker place, and you would rent a certain storage locker. Yeah, it's key, and that's where they kept the meat froze in them things. They'd come in once, twice a week and get what they needed, come back, put it in the refrigerator. But I never thought much about it then. I know that on Sundays especially Sundays, Grandma would go out in her chicken yard and she'd run down a couple of her chickens, grab her by the head, and wring the neck, and then throw them on the ground and they'd flop around. But later on, when dinner time come on Sunday, there was this delicious fried chicken. I never thought nothing about that. I don't know why my thoughts on stuff like that has changed. And if she didn't wring their neck, she'd catch them, hold them up by the feet, and later lay them across a stump out there and chop the head off with a hatchet. I remember when they slaughtered a hog. And that usually it was 2 or 3 hogs. And I recall them slaughtering a beef. But it didn't cross my mind back then like it does now. I mean, just crazy, you know. I wish I could be a vegetarian, but it's not up to me what gets on the table. And, you know, Seventh-day Adventists, they don't eat anything from a pig. They won't use bacon from a pig. They won't use bacon grease to season stuff with. They won't cook a pot of beans and season it with pork fat or something, you know. They won't eat shrimp. They won't eat oysters. Any kind of shellfish or lobster or crab, anything like that, they won't eat. That's why, I was raised as a Seventh-day Adventist. And boy, when I was old enough, when I first started school in the first grade, I was going to a private school. It was a church school, Seventh-day Adventist. So I was raised as a Seventh-day Adventist. But I was only a Seventh-day Adventist when I was at grandmother's. At home, Mom and Daddy, they wasn't nothing. They wasn't nothing. They put us in that private school, you know. But one of the main hospitals here in Ocala it's called Advent. It used to be Monroe Regional. I used to go to the only hospital I go to was Monroe. My wife died in Monroe. But all of a sudden, they sold the hospital to Advent. It's now Advent. And they stick strictly to the stuff that they fix for meals. Ain't got a thing to do with pork. And the meals are terrible. They come in there, they bring you some bacon or sausage for breakfast, and it's not bacon, it's not sausage. It's supposed to be sausage, but it's made from turkey. The bacon is turkey bacon. Stuff's terrible. I don't go there no more. No way am I going there anymore. But I remember one time when we was going to somebody's house to have lunch with them. This was me, my sister Carolyn, and George. And we was with Grandma Pearson and Granddaddy Pearson. We walked down the road to this person's house to go in there to eat lunch or dinner, whatever you want to call it. And man, oh my goodness, there was pork chops in there. There was chicken too. We could eat the chicken. But man, I wanted one of them pork chops. And I thought since we were sitting at the table and it was up there, I could eat one. And I reached over there to grab me one of them pork chops with my fork. And Grandma wrapped me across my hand with a bread knife. Bam! I didn't get the pork chop. And she looked at the chicken, pointing at the chicken. You get chicken. But guess what? when the meal was over and everybody was going to the part of the room or the living room and talk and everything, and yeah, there was some pork chops left on that table. And when everybody was leaving, I reached over and grabbed me a pork chop. And I stuck it down in my pants next to my drawers. Yeah. And they was yelling and talking, and I said, I gotta go to the bathroom, but I'd call it, go to the toilet. So I hightailed it outside to the, didn't have a bathroom in the house. I hightailed it out there to the toilet, and I got in there, pulled the latch down inside, locked the thing there, and I sit there and I eat that pork chop. I eat that pork chop, boy. I had regrets because I should have grabbed two. I didn't, but man, that was so good. But see, we eat pork at home at my mom and daddy's. But Grandma was a Seventh-day Adventist. Grandmama and Aunt Ann, and there was somebody else in the family that was Seventh-day Adventist. But when you was at Grandma's, you was a Seventh-day Adventist. When you was at Aunt Dora's and Uncle Glenn's, you was a Methodist. When you was at Aunt Mammy's and Uncle Jack, you was some kind of it's kind of like the Baptist, but it wasn't a Baptist. I had one aunt and uncle that was Pentecostal. And I had one that was a Jehovah's Witness. And matter of fact, one time at the family reunion, there was Methodists in there, there was Baptists, there was Pentecostal, and that one aunt that was Jehovah's Witness. They almost got into a knockdown, drag-out fight in there at dinner when the aunt that's Jehovah's Witness started preaching. And I had one cousin, I don't know what she was. She'd come in there, and if she thought you needed some prayer, she'd come in there and lay her hand right on your forehead and pray her ass off, holding your head and shaking your head. I don't know what she was, and she's one of my favorite cousins. I had a crush on her when she was like 16 and I was 14. I love that girl. and her father was a Methodist minister. But I don't know what religion she turned out to be. But anyway, I feel so bad. Somebody finally got them dogs out there. I don't know how well they're gonna be because I don't think if you can't afford to take care of them, you don't get them. And me and my family here, we fit that bill to a T. We can't afford them, but we got them. Got 9 cats. 9 cats and 1 dog. And you fall in love with them and you just can't bear to part with them. But yeah, I could be a vegetarian real easy. I can't be a virgin. Can't believe I screwed that up like that. Oh boy. Been a lot of years since I was a virgin. But you know, back when I was a kid, they didn't refer to boys as virgins or not, only to girls. But now, I see guys that claim they're a virgin. And like that one guy, he was 40-something years old and a virgin, he says. I don't know. But at some point, we all do it, folks. Most all of us. But anyhow, guys, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I will see you in the next one. See ya. GoPro, stop recording.